Welcome back to the deep dive. You know, we often think about living a long life, but maybe the real question is, how do we live a vibrant life right to the end?
Exactly. It's not just about adding years. It's about adding, well, life to those years. And that's what's so captivating about these places called blue zones.
Yes, the blue zones. They sound almost mythical, but they're real places.
Oh, absolutely real. We're talking about specific spots on the map. Okinawa in Japan, Sardinia in Italy, the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica, Ikaria in Greece, and even Loma Linda in California.
And what makes them special is this incredible concentration of people living to 100 centenarians. And often living well without all the chronic diseases we tend to associate with getting older.
That's the key. It sparks this huge curiosity, right? Everyone wants the secret, the magic bullet.
Or some complicated, punishing routine. But that's not really what we're aiming for today, is it?
No, our mission here is different. We want to cut through the hype, look at the real data, and pull out the principles that are actionable, simple, and actually sustainable. We're looking for a calmer way, an intentional path to maybe engineer a longer, better life.
I like that framing, calm, intentional discovery. So what sources are we drawing on for this?
We've got quite a stack. Detailed findings from the Blue Zones project itself, insights from functional medicine, some really interesting demographic deep dives, especially the new stuff coming out of Nicoya.
Oh, I heard about that, suggesting things might be changing there.
Exactly. We'll definitely get into that nuance. And also the hard science behind things like calorie restriction and how our bodies respond to nutrients.
Okay, so a broad look. And what's the big takeaway message from all this research?
It's actually incredibly empowering. The headline is, longevity isn't just fate written in your genes.
Right. I've seen the numbers. Genetics only account for, 20 to 30% of how long you live?
Precisely. Which leaves a massive 70 to 80% down to your environment and your lifestyle. The choices you make, the world you build around you.
That puts so much agency back in our hands. It's not about blaming your DNA.
It shifts the whole perspective. It's about building habits. The blue zones fundamentally are just places where the environment and the culture sort of nudge people into healthier patterns, almost without them thinking about it.
So how do we get specific about those patterns? The researchers distilled them, didn't they?
They did. They identified 9 common factors across all these diverse places. They call them the Power 9.
The Power 9, okay.
And think of these not as a checklist you have to rigidly follow, but more as building blocks for a holistic life. It's not about one perfect diet or one magic exercise.
It's about designing your surroundings, your daily life, so the healthy choice is the easy choice.
You got it. It's designing an environment where you don't need heroic willpower all the time, because your lifestyle naturally supports well-being.
That is so much more appealing than relying on sheer discipline, which, let's be honest, tends to run out. So where do we start? What's the first principle?
The first one is move naturally. And this is one where I think modern society gets it a bit sideways.
How so? We think exercise, we think gym, right? Intense workouts.
Exactly. High-intensity intervals, heavy lifting, scheduled classes. But the centenarians in these blue zones, they weren't typically doing that.
So what would they do?
Their movement was just part of life. It was moderate, consistent, and seamlessly woven into their day.
Like walking everywhere because maybe they didn't have cars? Or intense gardening because they grew their own food?
Yes, or doing chores by hand, kneading dough, tending animals, things that require bending, lifting, walking constantly. It wasn't exercise, it was just living.
That feels fundamentally different from sitting all day and then trying to make up for it with 1 hour of intense activity.
It really is. That sustained natural movement keeps your metabolism humming along differently than sitting for 8 hours and then blasting yourself at the gym. The Blue Zone way provides constant, low-level muscle activation.
What's happening in the body with that kind of constant, gentle movement? Why is it maybe better?
Well, first, it keeps your mitochondria, the little energy factories in your cells, healthy and numerous. Constant, moderate use is better than long periods of disuse followed by sudden high demand. It keeps them efficient, helps manage inflammation.
Okay, so cellular energy is key. What else?
There's also the neurochemical side. This kind of natural movement provides a steady, gentle release of feel-good chemicals like endorphins, serotonin, dopamine. It's like a continuous low-dose mood regulator and stress reliever.
So movement isn't just physical, it's mental maintenance too, almost like a form of stress relief built into the day.
Absolutely. Which leads us perfectly into the second principle, purpose.
Ah, purpose. This one feels really deep.
It's arguably one of the most powerful non-physical factors for longevity. Having a clear reason to get up in the morning, a sense of direction.
And different cultures have beautiful words for this, right? In Okinawa, they talk about ikigai.
Ikigai.
Yeah.
Your reason for being. And in Nicoya, Costa Rica, it's the plan de vida.
The life plan, both essentially asking, why do I wake up?
Exactly. And having a strong answer to that acts as a powerful psychological buffer. It helps you navigate stress because hardship has context. And this isn't just philosophical studies show, it has measurable biological effects, like lowering inflammatory markers.
Wow. Are there actual statistics linking purpose to, well, staying alive longer?
There are. One really compelling study followed thousands of adults over 50 for 5 years. They measured their sense of purpose at the start.
And the results?
The participants who scored lowest on that purpose scale, they were literally twice as likely to have died during those 5 years compared to those with the highest scores.
Twice as likely. That's staggering.
It suggests that when you feel your life has meaning, you subconsciously make better choices about sleep, food, movement, and you just have this deeper resilience.
Now, when we hear purpose today, especially in our culture, we often think it has to be tied to a career or something grand. Is that how it works in blue zones?
Not necessarily, no. Purpose for these centenarians is often much more grounded, more immediate. It could be raising grandchildren, tending a garden that feeds the family, being active in their community, maybe preserving traditions or mentoring younger people.
So it's about feeling needed, feeling valuable, contributing in some way.
Precisely. It's a sense of usefulness and connection that's accessible to everyone, not just high-flying professionals. It's about finding your life's worth in your daily actions and relationships.
Okay, so we have natural movement woven into life and a strong sense of purpose driving us. Let's switch gears to what fuels the body. Principle number 5. The plant slant.
Yes, the dietary foundation. And this is incredibly consistent across all the blue zones, despite their different cuisines.
What's a core principle?
Overwhelmingly plant-based. We're talking 90, maybe even 95% of their daily calories coming from whole, unprocessed plant foods.
90 to 95%. So what does that mean for meat? That's always a big question.
Meat is definitely not the centerpiece. It's eaten sparingly. The research suggests, on average, maybe 5 times a month.
5 times a month, that's significantly less than the typical Western diet.
Way less. And when they do eat it, the portions are small, think 2 ounces, about the size of a deck of cards. It's often used more like a condiment for flavor in a stew or soup, rather than a big slab on the plate.
And I imagine the quality of that meat is different too.
Absolutely. Usually locally raised, pasture-fed, free of the hormones and antibiotics common in industrial meat production. It's a different product.
Okay, so making this practical for someone listening, trying to figure out their grocery list, the researchers broke it down, right? The 4 always and 4 to avoid.
They did. Based on analyzing over 150 dietary surveys from these regions, it really simplifies things.
Let's start with the 4 always, the must-haves. What's number 1?
Number 1, 100% whole grains. Unrefined grains, things like farro, quinoa, brown rice, real oatmeal, barley, whole wheat bread, if it's truly whole grain. These provide fiber, nutrients, and slow-burning energy.
Got it. Number 2?
Nuts and seeds, just a handful a day, packed with healthy fats, protein, fiber, really common snack in blue zones. Good for satiety and heart health.
Okay. Number 3, I hear this one is kind of the superstar.
Ah, yes, the beans, legumes, and pulses. This category is arguably the cornerstone. Chickpeas, lentils, black beans, fava beans, cannellini beans, you name it.
Why are beans so central?
They are fantastic sources of plant-based protein and, crucially, fiber. Fiber feeds your gut microbiome, stabilizes blood sugar. The recommendation is about a cup of cooked beans or pulses daily. They really anchor the diet.
A whole cup. Okay. And the 4th, always.
Fruits and vegetables, lots of them, aiming for variety and color. 5 to 10 servings a day. Think dark leafy greens, berries, sweet potatoes like the Okinawa purple sweet potato, which is loaded with antioxidants.
So whole grains, nuts, seeds, beans, legumes, and lots of fruits and veggies. It sounds pretty simple and affordable, actually.
It really is foundational. Now, the flip side, the 4 to avoid. These are the things strongly linked to the chronic diseases common in modernized societies.
Okay, hit me with number 1.
Sugar-sweetened beverages. This is a big one. Sodas, sweetened fruit juices, those giant sugary coffee drinks, just empty calories that spike your blood sugar and drive inflammation.
Makes sense. Number 2.
Salty snacks. Potato chips, pretzels, cheese puffs, that kind of thing. Usually high in sodium, unhealthy fats, preservatives, and pretty low in actual nutrients. They're designed to be hyper-palatable, so you overeat them.
Right. Addictive almost. 3rd, avoidance.
Packaged sweets, Candy bars, cookies, pastries that come in a box. Again, typically high in sugar, refined flour, unhealthy fats, and often full of additives. Minimal nutritional value, maximum metabolic disruption.
And the fourth one to steer clear of.
Processed meats. This is a category that gets specific warnings from health organizations. Bacon, sausage, hot dogs, deli meats, cold cuts.
Why are these singled out so strongly?
The way they're preserved, often using nitrites and nitrates, and the high levels of sodium and saturated fat. There's significant research linking regular consumption to increased risk of heart disease and certain cancers, especially colorectal cancer.
So the common thread for the avoids seems to be heavy processing, added sugars and salts, and low nutrient density.
Exactly. They're displacing the nutrient-dense whole foods we just talked about.
Now, moving from what they eat to how they eat, there's another Power 9 principle here, number 4, the 80% rule. This one comes with a mantra, right?
Yes, from Okinawa, Harahachibu. It's a Confucian saying they often recite before meals.
And what does it mean?
Essentially, eat until you are 80% full. It's a conscious reminder to stop eating not when you're stuffed, but when you're no longer hungry. That 20% gap is key.
Why is stopping before you feel totally full so important? Is there science behind that 80%?
There is. It ties into your body's satiety signals. It takes about 20 minutes for your stomach to tell your brain, okay, I've had enough, via hormones like leptin.
So if you eat quickly until you feel full, you've probably already gone way past that actual need.
Exactly, you've overshot the mark. Stopping at 80% naturally encourages you to eat more slowly, more mindfully, giving those hormones time to kick in. It prevents that chronic slight overconsumption that contributes to weight gain and metabolic issues over time.
It's like a built-in mindful calorie control without needing to count anything.
Precisely. It's the traditional way of achieving moderate caloric intake. Now, if we zoom in on a specific blue zone, like Sardinia, we see how these principles adapt locally.
Right. They have their own unique foods within that plant slant framework.
Definitely. Sardinian staples traditionally included things like fava beans, chickpeas, tomatoes, greens, plus whole grains like barley. And they have this amazing sourdough bread, pain carousel.
Oh, the thin, crispy one.
Yeah, made with traditional fermentation, which can make the nutrients more available and easier to digest.
And they also have a distinct approach to dairy, don't they?
They do. More sheep and goat milk products, cheese, like pecorino sardo, and also a fermented sour milk or cheese called kasu aksidu. These might have different fatty acid profiles compared to cow's milk.
You mentioned something interesting earlier. The mountain shepherds in Sardinia ate a bit more meat and dairy than the farmers in the lowlands. How does that fit?
It's a great example of how diet interacts with lifestyle. These shepherds were incredibly active, walking miles daily over rugged terrain. Before modernization really hit post-WWII, food wasn't super abundant anyway, maybe 2,400, 2,600 calories a day.
So they needed the energy.
They needed the energy, and that slightly higher intake of local pork or lamb, still infrequent, maybe 2-4 times a month, and the goat sheep dairy probably helped them maintain muscle mass, especially as they aged. Muscle retention is huge for longevity.
So it wasn't contradicting the plant slant, it was adapted to extreme physical output. And the older generations stuck with these traditional ways longer.
Yes. The cohorts who show the most longevity were those less affected by the post-war shift towards more refined foods, pasta, canned goods. They held on to the simpler whole food ways.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've covered movement, purpose, the plant-based diet, mindful eating. What about managing the internal stuff? Stress. That brings us to Power 9, number 3, downshift.
Stress, the unavoidable reality of life. But the key difference in blue zones isn't that they don't have stress, it's how they manage it routinely.
Because chronic stress is the real killer, right? That constant state of alert.
Exactly. It floods your system with cortisol, drives inflammation, messes with your cardiovascular system, accelerates aging at a cellular level. It's toxic when it's relentless.
So how do people in blue zones downshift? What are their rituals?
They integrate stress reduction into the daily fabric of life. It's not an afterthought, it's a practice. For example, the Ikarians in Greece are famous for their midday naps.
Naps. I like the sound of that.
Yeah, but Short One's research suggests 20 to 30 minutes is the sweet spot. It's restorative, lowers stress hormones, reduces heart disease risk.
What about other places?
The Seventh-day Adventists in Loma Linda practice prayer and reflection. Okinawans take moments to remember their ancestors, which provides perspective. Sardinians might enjoy that glass of Canada wine with friends. The method varies, but the consistency is key. It's a built-in pause button.
And part of downshifting has to be sleep, proper restorative sleep.
Absolutely fundamental. Most adults need 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep for the body to repair, consolidate memories, regulate hormones, and keep the immune system strong. Chronic sleep deprivation is a major stressor itself.
This focus on relaxation and social ritual leads nicely to another Power 9 principle, number 6, wine at 5.
Right. In several blue zones, particularly Sardinia and Ikaria, moderate alcohol consumption, usually red wine, is part of the daily routine.
Moderate being the key word here.
Definitely. We're talking 1 or 2 small glasses per day, typically enjoyed with food, and importantly, with friends or family. The context matters hugely.
And the type of wine matters too, you mentioned.
Yes, especially red wines rich in polyphenols, like the Sardinian Canino made from Grenache grapes. These antioxidants help combat oxidative stress, which damages cells.
But let's be clear. If someone doesn't drink, the advice isn't to start, right?
Absolutely not. The potential risks of alcohol are significant, and you can get antioxidants from many other foods. The benefit observed in blue zones is likely tied to the specific type of wine, the moderate amount, and the fact that it's part of a relaxed, social meal, reducing stress and enhancing connection. It's the whole package.
Okay, good clarification. Let's circle back to that 80% rule, hara-hachibu, for a second. You mentioned it connects to scientific research on calorie restriction, or CR.
Yes, there's a fascinating parallel. CR research going back decades now shows that reducing overall calorie intake without malnutrition extends lifespan and delays age-related diseases in tons of different species, from yeast and worms to flies and rodents.
That basically triggers survival mechanisms.
Kind of. It flips biological switches. When calories are less abundant, the body seems to shift resources away from growth and reproduction towards maintenance and repair. Key pathways like mTOR get dialed down.
mTOR, that's the growth pathway, right? Signals cells to multiply when nutrients are plentiful.
Exactly. And too much mTOR activity is linked to aging and cancer. CR dampens mTOR. And simultaneously, it activates pathways like SIRT1.
The longevity gene.
That's what it's often called. SIRT1 helps with DNA repair, stress resistance, reducing inflammation. So practices like the 80% rule and the general plant slant diet are, in a way, naturally modulating these ancient pathways.
Now, traditionally, the idea in CR was just fewer calories are better. But you mentioned newer research is questioning that, suggesting maybe the type of calorie matters more.
Right. The focus is shifting a bit towards dietary restriction, or DIAR restricting specific macronutrients rather than just total calories. There was a really interesting study using fruit flies.
Fruit flies live short lives, so they're good for aging studies. What did they test?
They compared restricting the fly's carbohydrate source, sugar, versus restricting their protein and fat source, yeast, while keeping the total calories the same in both restricted groups.
Okay, so same calorie reduction, different nutrient focus. What happened?
The flies with the restricted protein and fat lived significantly longer. Both average and maximum lifespan increased. Restricting only the sugar at the same calorie level gave only a small boost to average lifespan and didn't touch the maximum.
Wow, so reducing protein and fat seemed more powerful than reducing sugar for longevity, even at the same calorie level.
In that study, yes. It suggests that maybe it's not just about eating less overall, but about reducing the specific signals, particularly those from protein, that drive that mTOR growth pathway so hard.
What are the implications for us?
Well, human studies are complex and ongoing. But if this holds true for us, it makes the blue zone dietary pattern naturally lower in protein compared to typical Western diets. Rich in complex carbs and fiber look even smarter. And frankly, strategically reducing protein seems a lot more appealing and sustainable for most people than drastic overall calorie cutting.
Fascinating. Okay, let's move to the social glue holding these communities together. Power 9, number 7, the right tribe.
Social connection. This is turning out to be incredibly potent for health and longevity. We're talking about the detrimental effects of loneliness.
And loneliness isn't just being alone, right? It's a feeling.
It's the subjective gap between the connection you have and the connection you want. You can feel lonely in a crowd, and the health risks are shocking.
I remember reading something comparing it to smoking.
Yes. Chronic loneliness has been equated to smoking about 15 cigarettes a day in terms of mortality risk. It's linked to a 26% increased risk of early death. Some studies suggest it's a bigger risk factor than obesity.
That's huge. Why is it so bad for us?
It seems to trigger a chronic stress response, making us feel unsafe, hypervigilant. This can lead to inflammation, poor sleep, depression, and even cardiovascular issues.
So how do blue zones build in protection against this? The Okinawans have something specific, don't they? Moais.
Yes, moais. These are small groups, maybe 5 or 6 people, who commit to supporting each other for life, often starting in childhood.
Like a chosen family.
Exactly. They provide everything: emotional support, companionship, shared experiences, even financial help if someone falls on hard times. It creates this incredible safety net, buffering life's stresses.
That sounds amazing, but maybe hard to replicate if you didn't grow up with it. For listeners feeling disconnected, are there strategies to build connection?
Absolutely. Neuroscientists talk about the GRACES strategy to consciously combat loneliness and its negative thought patterns.
Grace it. Okay, let's break it down.
G is for gratitude, actively noticing and appreciating the good things, however small. Writing down maybe 5 things daily shifts your focus away from what's lacking. R is for reciprocity, giving back, feeling useful. Even small acts of kindness, helping a neighbor, offering a compliment, counteract feelings of isolation by making you feel valuable.
Okay.
A is for altruism, focusing outward by helping others, maybe volunteering. It gets you out of your own head and connects you to something larger. Purpose and connection rolled into one.
C.
C is for choice, recognizing that you can take action against loneliness. It's like thirst or hunger, a signal to act. You choose to reach out, to connect, breaking the passivity.
And finally, E.
E is for enjoyment, specifically sharing positive experiences with others. Research suggests a ratio of about 3 positive interactions to 1 negative one is optimal for well-being. Sharing joy strengthens bonds.
Draceway. That's a great framework. This focus on connection naturally leads to Power 9, number 8, loved ones first.
Yes, the deep commitment to family that's characteristic of blue zones.
Right.
This often includes multi-generational households or keeping aging parents very close by.
So older generations aren't isolated, they're integrated.
Absolutely. They're cared for, respected, and they continue to contribute. And it's a two-way street.
How so?
Well, obviously, the elders receive care, but they also give support, wisdom, childcare. Studies actually show that grandparents who are involved with their grandchildren have lower rates of depression and mortality. It gives them purpose, connection. It benefits everyone.
It's a cycle of mutual care. And the final Power 9, number 9, belong, reinforces this through community.
Yes, this often relates to belonging to a faith-based community, which is common among most centenarians studied,
Right.
except perhaps some secular groups.
What does that provide?
Structure, shared rituals, social support, accountability. And often, practices like prayer or meditation are built in, offering another way to downshift and manage stress, fostering a sense of peace in place.
Okay, we've covered the Power 9, but we need to add some nuance here. It's not a magic formula, right? Functional medicine offers some perspective on debunking myths.
Definitely. Myth number 1, one size fits all. The idea that there's one perfect blue zone diet everyone should copy.
But we saw that's not true. Okinawans ate sweet potatoes. Sardinians ate barley and beans.
Exactly. It highlights bio-individuality. The core principles are shared plant, slant, whole foods, moderation, but the specific foods are adapted to local genetics, environment, availability. You need to figure out what works best for you within those principles.
Myth number 2, diet is the only secret.
We've spent half our time talking about movement, purpose, stress, connection. Clearly, it's holistic. You can't just eat beans and expect to live to 100 if you're isolated and chronically stressed. It's the whole lifestyle package.
Okay, myth 3, blue zone residents are immune to disease.
No, they're human. They get sick too. But their lifestyle significantly reduces their risk of developing chronic diseases like heart disease, type 2 diabetes, dementia, and certain cancers. And critically, they tend to have a compressed morbidity. They stay healthier for longer, experiencing illness mostly just toward the very end of a long life. Better quality of life.
And the last myth, their diets are too low in protein.
That's usually judged against the very high protein intake of the standard American diet, which is often excessive. Blue zone residents get adequate protein, primarily from plants like legumes. When they eat animal products, it's good quality and in moderation. Combined with their constant movement, it seems sufficient for maintaining health and even muscle mass. Quality over quantity.
Right. Now, about that nuance we hinted at earlier, the idea that these blue zones might not be permanent, the Nicoya study.
Yes, this is really important context. The exceptional longevity first identified in Nicoya, Costa Rica, was primarily found in people born before about 1930. These were the generations living very traditional agricultural lives.
Okay. So what's happening with the younger generations born, say, after World War II?
The data, looking at 1990 to 2020, is showing a significant erosion of that longevity advantage. It seems to be a cohort effect.
Meaning the advantage belonged to specific generations.
Largely, yes.
Yeah.
For instance, Nicoyan men born around 1905 had about 33% lower adult mortality than other Costa Rican men truly exceptional.
And men born later, maybe around 1945, the ones who are in their 70s or 80s now.
Their mortality rate is actually about 10% higher than other Costa Ricans. A complete reversal.
Wow. So the advantage has vanished for the more recent generations. Why?
Modernization. Their diets have shifted towards more processed foods, less physical labor, more sedentary lifestyles. The traditional environment that supported longevity is changing.
So the actual geographic blue zone in Nicoya has shrunk.
Significantly. It's now concentrated in a smaller, more remote area, the Vajancha-Samara corridor, where traditional ways persist a bit more.
That's sobering. It really underscores that this is about lifestyle and environment, not just genetics, and that it's fragile.
That's a powerful lesson.
Yeah.
These longevity hotspots might be transient phenomena. The window to study these original cohorts living purely traditional lives is closing fast. It tells us these healthy lifestyles aren't guaranteed. They need to be consciously cultivated and protected.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, this has been an incredibly detailed look. What's the core message we want listeners to take away?
I think it's that longevity and, more importantly, health span years of healthy life isn't about finding some extreme secret. It's about intentionally weaving simple, sustainable, healthy habits into the fabric of your daily life. The Power 9 gives us the blueprint.
Move naturally. Find your purpose, downshift regularly, lean heavily into plants, cultivate your tribe, cherish your family.
Exactly. And the focus shouldn't be on forcing yourself with willpower, but on that calm discovery. How can you gently engineer your own environment, your routines, so these things become easier and more automatic? Apply the principles with clarity to your own life, your own health.
So a practical first step for someone listening might be just picking one area. Maybe assess your natural movement. Could you walk more, garden more?
Or maybe reflect on your Ikigai. What brings you joy and purpose outside of work? How can you nurture that? Start small, make it sustainable.
And considering that sobering news from Nicoya, that these advantages can fade within generations if lifestyles change, it really leaves you with a powerful final thought.
It does. If a whole region's longevity advantage can erode as traditional habits disappear, what simple, perhaps old-fashioned, healthy habit are you holding on to today? Or what could you reintegrate? Something your future self or even your descendants might desperately wish had been preserved in our fast-paced modern world.
What part of your own potential blue zone are you cultivating right now? A profound question. Thank you for guiding us through this incredibly rich deep dive.
My pleasure. It's fascinating stuff with real-world implications for all of us.